Let's get back to the people you worked with, and you already mentioned them, and I know you guys are friends, or were friends. I don't know if you're still close, but John Landis.
Yeah, in fact, I just...
he was in town recently.
In fact, I just got a sort of one of those Nigerian scam emails from him.
Help, I'm stranded.
And I said, I'm stranded in... This was in Cyprus. I'm in Lamasa, Cyprus. And I just emailed him back and said, somebody obviously got into your contact list, and he said, actually, we're in Buenos Aires, but don't answer that one.
Yeah, those are hilarious.
Yeah, that was just today.
Oh, is that right?
So yeah, no, we're still in touch and still good friends. Yeah.
Do you remember much about? I mean, yeah, cameo, but you were. I just saw it recently too, and you have I mean, there you are, and Into the Night. Right? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, no, that was
a great movie.
That was an important for me as an actor. Yeah. Because I'd done a lot of acting in some underground films, you know, sure. But that was the first Hollywood movie that and you know, you're shooting in Hollywood, and Michelle Pfeiffer is the lead, and you're acting with Jeff Goldblum, and I mean, Michelle wasn't that well known at the time, but my scene was with Jeff, who was well known.
Was that how you connected for The Fly? Was that
it was the first connection, with Jeff, yeah. And it certainly helped in terms of getting him for the movie and thinking of him for the Fly, and there I was saying some difficult lines of dialogue, which I could still repeat.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Oh.
I want fault tolerance checks on all bunkers, sensors, and corresponding transducers. Now that's not easy to say.
How did that stick in the old gray matter?
I have no idea, because I can't remember anything I said last week, and I can remember that.
You think that must have been exciting for you. So this is
it was terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, the first take, my heart was beating so hard I couldn't even hear what I was saying.
Right.
By the fifth or sixth take, it was fine.
Right.
You know, but you know, on a film set, you don't know anybody except John. Yeah. They are a crew. They've been together. The movie's proceeding, and it's scary. Yeah. It was scary. Yeah. But good scary. You know, scary fun. Yeah.
Now he made that after the. Were you friends with him during the horror of the Twilight Zone incident, or were you?
Yes. Oh, yes. I went to the trial.
Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we want to go there.
I was sitting there. Oh, yeah.
How is he? You know, again, on or off the record. Does he ever talk about that in social, or is that
absolutely he did? Yeah, well, I mean, he would talk about it, but he talked about it a lot.
Right. Do you, Howard being your main man, are you ever instrumental in any of the compositions at all with Howard, or you just turn over the keys to him and say, go for it?
Well, there's always a discussion about the tone of something, the approach, you know. I mean, every movie is unique. And Howard is not the kind of guy, I mean, I really think of him as an actor, you know. I mean, he will play the role. He's a chameleon. It's not like he has a signature thing that he must do and insists on doing it. And that he wants everybody to always know that it's a Howard Shore score. He really works for the movie. And yet, of course, his sensibility is what it is, and I can often hear him in other scores that he's done. So a great collaborator, and as I say, kind of an actor in the movie. The music is like an actor, another character, and adds a certain something else. And we discuss stuff, and it depends on the movie. I mean, with Maps to the Stars, well, you know, he'll send me now over the internet.
Because he's in London, right? He's in England, isn't he, Howard?
No, he lives in Tuxedo, New York.
Okay. All right.
And more, he does everything from there. He's built a studio. So when he was doing The Hobbit, instead of bopping back and forth to New Zealand and stuff, you know, a lot of his stuff is done at a distance. I remember him holed up in the what's the name of the hotel in London, the Dorchester, in a big sort of attic type room he had mattresses against the wall to sound deaden, and big speakers, and he was doing the original, you know, the first Lord of the Rings, and was really directing choirs and then musicians all over the world, and it was all coming into there, you know. a project like that so huge that actually he couldn't be everywhere physically.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's increased to the point where I think he can do, he did some recording in Berlin for Maps of the Stars,
Mm-hmm.
but he did it from Tuxedo. He didn't go, he wasn't conducting, but he was hearing it as it was recorded, and and more that's the way it happens. Even for me with ADR, with looping,
Mm-hmm.
I loop. John Cusack was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else is in Vancouver. Somebody else is in New York. Somebody else is in London or Paris. So you don't actually have to fly and do all that stuff, and it's so good now over the ISDN or whatever that there's really no downside to doing that kind of work at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
So Howard does that, but he sends me stuff. He'll send me cues with the and we'll discuss. I'll give notes. I'll say this is to this or it's to that, or I think it works great, but I would love if it had a little more of this, or So I'm involved in it, and it depends. The what the tone of the movie is and what the budget of the movie is and how elaborate it is. With Dangerous Method, of course, there was a lot of Wagnerian influence, and we talked about all of that. So it's an ongoing discussion about music and musical influences and stuff.
Have you ever done a picture with Howard where he's been there, your Morricone sort of from the script stage up, or does he always come in?
I always send him the script
right from the get-go.
early on. I mean,
wow, it's great.
I have those collaborators: Carol Spear, Peter Sushitsky, and my editor Ron, and Howard. They all get the script as soon as it looks like it might really happen.
Yeah.
I don't bother them when it's not for sure, but once I'm thinking, no, this is a movie that I think is going to happen, I send it to them all to start thinking about it. Many of my movies are set in Toronto. Even Dead Ringers is set in Toronto, Videodrome. But I say the city is like an actor. It's a chameleon, and it's great that the city can be many different cities and can be this like kind of really adept character actor. And you should think of it that way, not like Toronto isn't interesting enough to make a movie in it. That's because I had done that already. I didn't find that to be a problem. I mean, when Roberto Benigni came to Toronto for TIFF, I think he first he gone on his knees and kissed my feet and called me maestro, so that was okay. And then he said, I was terrified to come to Toronto because I only knew it from your movies.
Right.
And then I was shocked to see that it's this like really nice city,
right,
very friendly,
yeah.
Because it was so dark and So obviously, I've conveyed the city in movies to audiences, as well as having the city play other cities.
Right.
So it's all, to me, that's all perfect.
What's the next film?
I don't have an extra.
You got the book.
I did a small short for.
I haven't seen it for TIFF.
For TIFF.
No. Did you cut that on your laptop? I mean, how did you? Where did you cut it?
Yeah, and on my iMac upstairs.
All right.
Yeah, I shot it in my garage.
Okay, nice. Are you gonna do more stuff like that? I mean, now that you can.
I do. I think yes. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do yourself, intimately. I mean, for that movie, I brought in an actress from Montreal. So it's a professional film, but
right.
But I shot it myself with a GoPro strapped to my head, and that's exciting stuff. And same with Suicide. I shot that myself. That was in my bathroom. The Suicide short, which was done for Cannes, that a kind of an extremely intimate kind of filmmaking that would be, and sort of a throwback to the '60s, and underground filmmaking, which was a lot like that. Yeah. So I can see segueing into that kind of filmmaking, not necessarily abandoning the more formal kind of filmmaking, but
as an exercise to keep yourself stimulated.
Not just an exercise. I mean, it's a creative act.
Sure.
It's a serious.
I mean, you can make. I mean, I use this.
Totally, you could. You absolutely can make a film with your iPhone and edit it on your iPhone too if you wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I think that's all fantastic. The thing is that talent will out, you know? I mean, everybody can write a letter, but not everybody
everyone
can
should.
write a novel
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
screenplay.
Yeah, right.
And it's the same. So everybody can shoot video, but only some people can make really good, interesting narrative videos, and that's the way it should be, you know? But it's exciting that people have access to it and can connect with it, shoot it, cut it in iMovie or whatever. All good stuff.
So what do you do during the daytime then?
What
You have your you're going into the do the sound mix for maps.
Yeah,
But
I was
otherwise, how do you
just today. We were looking at the final visual effects.
So you're constantly working every day. I mean,
yeah, every day.
do you get bored when you're not working?
No,
No?
I like to not work.
Yeah.
I enjoy reading, and there are a lot of things. I'd probably get antsy if I weren't doing something creative.
Right.
But it could be stills photography. It could be, you know, learning to use the DaVinci Resolve. That's what the professional color timers use when you go into the DI suite. They have these DaVinci Resolve. But you can now download a light version of that and use it on your Mac, and you can do very complex color timing. But it's a long learning curve. You have to really figure it out. So play with that. Educating yourself. You know, you can continue to educate yourself. It's great.